Did you have, oh, okay, I was looking at Carol. Well, here was a story where we were working on Catesville Bridge, of course, and we were hoping for an update on BS's engineering plans. And along the same line, I had a contact from Landmarks, Regional Landmarks, and they would put $2,500 towards towards the cost of the engineering study. So I need that number ASAP. Okay. Roger's not here.
Okay.
Okay, well, I know Roger's been communicating with USI consultants regarding, because I know USI was working on some things with Cover Bridge to get a study. And I think I signed the paperwork for them to start doing that work. USI or BS? I'm sorry, USI. USI consultants. Sorry, I got mixed up.
I was with Roger and USI at the bridge. It has been all measured and everything. They just don't have a report.
There he is. He just walked in.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was helping the guy with a bad tire. Good for you.
You're on. Roger, you're on. I don't know if you want to see it up here. You're
Sure.
welcome to sit up there.
Can I sit next to you?
Yeah.
It's becoming more important. I'm coming down.
Hey,
Roger, I'm in a different seat too. Never been this far. Never been this close to the
Did
president.
you, I think you've been here before.
You're looking for an update on the Bay Bridge? Yes. Yeah, Rusty and I went out and met with USI, we were doing the inspection. There were 3 guys out there, it was snowy. I had not seen the bridge before. It is in pretty bad shape. I know that we're gonna get a full report from the company, but I basically had some conversation with them. I said, from 0 to 10, what shape is this bridge in? And he said 0. I said, well, I'm just telling you what the professional said. I'm not debating what the bridge is and what shape it is. And I said, okay, what is it gonna take to do this? And he said, we had a similar bridge that we did. We had to roll the bridge off of its piers, set it in the field, do all the work on it, refurbish the piers and roll the bridge back onto the piers. And I said, we're looking at $100,000, we're looking at $1 million, what are we looking at? He said, the bridge that we did cost us $400,000 to roll it off, get it refurbished and pull it back on. And I said, okay, well, I'll pass that along, at least to have an idea what they're working with. But he will provide us a report with more definitive cost of what he thinks it's gonna take. He asked what the bridge was gonna be used for. And I told him, I don't think it will ever be used for traffic again. But the idea is to get people, maybe a wine class or a cheese and wine dinner or something for the public to be on, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but something the public could use. And he says, I have more concerns with that than actually having vehicles on it. Because the point loads on a bridge, when you have many pedestrians on it, is a lot heavier than the point load of the tire that goes across the bridge. So he said, I would be afraid of a school bus bringing kids over here and getting on the bridge, look at the bridge. That's a lot more point loading than having a vehicle come across it. And I told him, that's fine. What you need to do is give us a design and give us a cost estimate, assuming that that one load is going to be what you think it is. And give us an alternative that if you just close it and nobody gets on it, what that cost estimate is going to be. So he's going to give us both those options. And that's all. We spent about an hour and a half there, maybe 2. It was snowy. They know what they're doing. They were measuring everything. Just not to get into the nitty-gritty of things. The bridge was repaired at some point, but it was not repaired correctly. The spacings between the beams are not equal. The columns, the steel columns that hold the bridge were spliced and just welded. So it's not repaired the way it was supposed to be repaired, but I guess at the point when it was, that's probably what they did, the best they could. But he gave it unfortunately, he gave it a 0. And he said, the price could be north of 400,000, because that's what they paid for a similar one to roll it off, work on it, and put it back.
Who is he?
USI, the main engineer with USI.
What's his name?
Rusty, do you remember his name?
No, sir.
He's Carol, we're gonna get a full report from him. and it will have his inspection date and the 3 gentlemen that inspected. There was a main engineer, there was a repair engineer there, and a 3rd person that just worked on bridges. So, just from talking to them, they absolutely knew what they were doing. And you can tell, I mean, I know it's a letdown for me to tell you that it's a 0, but you can tell the beam cracks that are on the far side where they have shorted with concrete. Those are critical beams that have split in half, basically.
Scott Dix,
There you go.
was the engineer construction.
So that's all I have on that.
There was one before you came in, I was saying that Landmark said what we could apply for $2,500 towards the engineering study. And that's something they need the number as soon as possible so we can get that grant. The grant would, that money would come directly to the county that would cover a portion of the engineering study. So I need an estimate on the engineering study.
I think they are.
Would that be the on-call?
Yeah, I think they're on the
Okay, I can give you
on-call
that
contract.
I have the on-call, that was the, doing the study on the bridge, so I can get that information to you.
Wonderful.
You have to, Brenda, you're gonna have to get her an amount to exceed estimate, that's what it is, because they're on call, which is T and L.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Our, what I signed was not to exceed, so if it does,
but at least that 2,500 can apply towards that, not the exceed number.
Every number counts. Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome, I wish I had better, I mean, that's, Rusty was standing there when we were having that conversation.
We've had a lot of people look at the bridge, professionals and structural engineers look at the bridge, and that certainly was not what they were telling us.
Again, this is not what he put in writing. This was his initial impression of the bridge when he was looking at it. If we don't like his report, we're welcome to pay for a 3rd party to do it again. I mean, that's unfortunately, that's how it goes, but that's how they end up paying money to get back to the same level.
We just need to move forward.
we're gonna move on to the approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for January 18th meeting.
And I'll second that, because I think Andrew is listening at this point, but he's not here. All in favor?
Aye.
Drainage board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 18th.
I'll second that.
grant. Aye.
Joe. Claims 13207 is an amount of $245,906.30. The unpublished claims and payroll claims.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Review and acknowledge the treasurer's reconciliation and monthly comparison report.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. And review and acknowledge the clerk's monthly report for November, December 2021.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
To vote. January report of collections as submitted, for the annual report, number and clerk, health department recorder chair.
I'll make that motion to accept.
I'll second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Bill. Annual jail report and commissary report,
I don't remember.
I don't
seeing it.
recall getting that.
It was in your stuff, but
I
I
said, it was in all that, I didn't see, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, well, there was a lot there. Maybe it was.
okay, we can skip it and put it on for next time.
Okay, well,
And if you can get it and read us the number, I mean.
I'll just send it.
Okay.
all right. Sorry, I missed it too, Tim. Okay, the sealed bids for the TCMG first, and then we'll move on to gravel.
Yes.
I think we will receive two of them, and closed, the mail, we didn't have the mail, so anyway, the auditor's office didn't receive it, their files.
Okay, this is my first time ever doing this. So the first one's Reed Riley Construction, Lafayette, Indiana. Proposal for 2021-1-1, community crossing matching grant, project HMA Wedge and Lead. So did we actually read the bids on these? Or
I think you just give the amount and then the auditor's office will keep a copy and then we make a copy and give to ESI to compile and with the recommendations.
Okay, first one's Kingman Road from County Road 800 South to State Road 32, 1.97 miles, 1 inch W and L wedge.
Wedge and level.
Okay, wedge and level, sorry. And 1.5 inch overlay. $292,306.26.
Usually there's like a summary, you just.
Hey, if it has a gross,
Yes,
that's
usually
total, I would just
there's-
read the total.
The total,
I'm trying to steer along.
That's all right.
yeah, see, I don't know this. I mean.
That's all right.
This is what-
You're watching it,
Yes, I do. Okay, total installation bid from Reed Riley is $1,088,580 even. Second is from Milestone Contractors, Lafayette, Indiana. And you want to look at these? Okay, total bid for Milestone, $1,950,456 even. $1,095,456 even.
95 or 950?
95.
Okay.
95, did I say that wrong?
950.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Man, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, I just wanted,
Here, look.
yeah, it's 95. Awesome, board. Okay. So I guess at this point, we'll accept the bids and then respond at the next meeting, so,
Just make a motion to take them over the mic.
okay.
I'll make a motion to take the bids under advisement.
And I will second that.
Aye.
Aye, so, thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to the field, bids for the Galveston Airport household fuel. Again, when we're going through those, I think we're just summarizing,
Or just saying
the Rich Brown
who it's from, we got it.
responded to next.
This is just for materials, right? So everybody's generally approved just at their price.
Yeah, and then whoever. Good. First one is from Froge Gravel Pit, Petersburg, Indiana. And that's obviously for gravel.
Is there a price per ton or per?
$5.50 a ton.
I'm sure some of them are not going to want to read everything that they list.
The next one is a gravel bid. I'll have to open it up and see who it's from.
They got it.
Boy, they did not want you in there. Saying I'm slow right now. It's from, Cotter Perry Company. I don't see an amount on that one yet.
Since these are for materials and because the motion is based generally to approve everything. I don't see anything, I don't see the price tag. Catch says we have to open them and read them aloud, so just to make the record, since everybody's approved, I don't think there's a
From Milestone Contractor. Bituminous material, it just says C attached, it has several different pages. Pricing. Whitesville, Millville. Crawfordsville.
Who was that, Tim?
Whitesville.
Whitesville, okay, thank you.
They just have different pricing on different materials. U.S. Aggregates out of Delphi, Indiana. Again, they've got several different prices for gravel, pea gravel, mason sand. Park County Aggregates. Again, Meslip pea gravel, sand, rock pit run gravel. Different prices for that. Putnam County Aggregates. Got a list of probably 20 different things. So. St. Regis, Culver. This one's a little different, it says due to the fluctuation in steel cost. Like they're giving a price, which in today's world can't go to give pricing, that's at St. Regis Culvert, they said due to the fluctuating prices, they're not gonna give a bid. I know you said that many times.
Right. It was- Whatever you can get, when you can get it.
Dedco, metal culvert. Just, big binders full of everything that they offer. Then the last one is from Newton Oil Company for fuel, gas and fuel. Yeah. I don't, honestly, I don't remember when it happened, just
Well, I can't see it from here.
thinking under the way. I'm sure it makes sense to someone in the business.
Well, they got rack price, rate and margin, of course, the state, the tax rate. And the expected fee. So the base price, 2.589 for unleaded, premium, 2.9054, premium off-road diesel, $2.994. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
So,
Make a motion, to take the bids on the environment.
I'll second that, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's have this under the agenda. The committee that a couple weeks ago, and we decided we had to do additional appropriation in the amount of $1 million for capital outlay and $500,000 for equipment. And just so we'll be ready, and so Kent, I'm probably gonna reach out to you and Jake to get our premium process, and we just kind of generically, we have some projects coming in that we've reviewed, and we've got another one that just came in that we got some pricing on, so we just kind of wanted to be ready and have them available.
Yeah, if you have the plan in pretty final form, and it just has to be, it can be fairly general,
Okay,
then we could pass that as a resolution, and then once you're ready to fund anything that's in your plan, it's just it's the council process, we just have to appropriate the money.
and I know that some of the counties do have their plan already, and it is very generic,
Right.
and then they will have addendums, you know,
Then yeah,
to,
you can modify the plan,
Okay.
if something new comes up, you know.
because I know the town of Hillsborough, I think they're ready, aren't they, Tim? They're wanting
Yeah.
some action on our part, you know, to do that, but I need a plan then. So I don't know if you can reach out to Jake, maybe between the two of you, get some together. I know Wells County had a nice plan that we looked at, probably.
Yeah, we've got,
Was there another county that was?
we did one for Montgomery County.
Okay, well, maybe we kind of go from there. If you two can kind of get that going, so then we can move forward, because I know we got Hillsborough, and then, yeah, the body cams was the other one, and of course, the make for the 911, but we don't have any bids or anything on that, so that's gonna be out there. So at least those two things, and then, circuit court, you know, does have some costs. So, okay, all right, I'll move on, well, I need a motion to approve that additional appropriation and she'll advertise it with the council.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Judge, would you like to be next for the public defender?
very much. Appreciate that.
I don't know if you had a chance to look at, Kent's been good enough to take a look at the templates that I sent over to him that have already, the ordinance has already been passed in Park, and I believe it's been passed in Vermillion. Just to refresh your memory, the council was good enough to give us a little bit more appropriation for public defender budget so that we can create the regional public defender board. Will be the first of its kind in Indiana. So we're getting a lot of guidance from the Public Defender Commission. We'll still be able to continue to get the reimbursement. What that does is allows us to have more access to local attorneys. My commitment was that I would support forming this as long as I got to keep my 3 public defenders. We're in a good position here in our county that we have more attorneys than they do in Park and Vermillion, but I was also realistic enough to know that if those 2 counties started paying a lot more, I would probably lose my public defender. So that was one of the reasons why we got together. And so if you've had an opportunity, Kent, to look at this any further, one concern that Kent did have is that, and the Public Defender Commission at the state level worked with us on drafting this, since we didn't really have anything to go off of, was about purchasing real estate. Vermillion County, to refresh your memory again, has agreed to act as the kind of the home base for that much as we do on community corrections. Colleen has been good enough to allow me to let them know that she would give them some advice in getting that started up, but she didn't really want to be doing 2 of those things, and I understand it is a lot of work. So they're looking at maybe renting some space down there for office space because it makes sense to do that, but there's not a lot of good office space in Newport, unfortunately. So, but I don't see us buying any real estate. That just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And we're hoping to maybe springboard this in June. We'd hoped in April, but we've got to find an office and we have to advertise for applicants. We'll have a chief public defender. That person will do all of our higher levels for all 3 counties, as well as any murders right now. I don't have any murder qualified public defenders. So that would be nice. We wouldn't have to go out and hire somebody for that. Hopefully we won't have to, but any questions, anything for me besides what we said?
No, I think the ordinance I drafted and sent, I think this can be discussed and introduced this morning, and then at your next meeting this month, you can pass this ordinance. And this authorizes the county to enter into this interlocal governmental cooperation agreement with these other counties, which is it's all by statute, and it's creating a separate governmental entity that will have all of the powers that are outlined in that agreement, as well for providing, public defender's office more regionally. But as far as the draft contract looks good and they're way ahead on that, this is just the first step to allowing the county to move forward on that.
So what will happen is each county will have 1 person on board. I think the first year I'm appointing 1, maybe one of their commissioners in Park County is appointing 1. And then we were on that call way back when we first started talking about this. And then in Vermillion, it kind of rotates. So then the judge down there, and it'll be a 2 or 3 year term. So the county still does have, a representation and a hand in it. But right now I'm doing everything, honestly. I mean, we have a board, but I just tell the board what to do, and that, could cause a defendant to scratch their head at some point and say, why is the judge telling me who my attorney should be? But that's the way it's always been. And we're not the only county that does that. So that's why the
And
legislature.
we found out when she met with your board that we're really doing things wrong at that.
We have good intentions and, but it's the same problem that every small county has, is that you ask the same people to do the same, things on 27 different boards.
Yep.
And there's only so many ways you can slice it. So it kind of creates that. And so I also would like your blessing to allow our current public defender board to vote to allow the interlocal agreement to be entered into. And then the president, which is Christoph, could just sign that. So the funds would all be pooled that we have each. And so and we would still get the same reimbursement. Actually, we should get a little bit more.
Yeah, so, is that a separate, consideration for the current board to act, or would that just be being through?
No, it would be, yeah, would be good. And so really, I mean, we're not asking for anything fiscally that's not already been appropriated. So I'll defer to you on, you know, when they can vote on it, when they can't.
We just need to have 2 meetings, it's introduced today, and we can vote on it, approve it next meeting.
Anybody have any questions for me?
So we need a motion to
So should
accept
we
the
wait?
regional.
Well, do we wait until the next meeting to accept the year?
Yeah, we're not, you know, it's introduced and discussed right now, and you know, at the next meeting, we just can't pass it in one.
Okay. All right, hurry up and wait.
Carol, do you have a question?
What were the counties involved?
Park and Vermillion and Fountains.
Not
Not Warren.
Warren.
Last time I had something else about Warren. And we did offer it to Warren, but they have such a small caseload that it didn't make sense for them. So, no questions for me? All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking me out.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to the encumbrances, request. Let's see, county. I'm doing this off memory, county home and then county general maintenance, is that correct?
Yes, and then CCD.
Cap development, okay, so those 3 funds, they're requesting 8,000 out of the one, $19,280. And now the Q Cap development, $1,750, and they have the invoice dated in 2021, so that's why we're encumbering. And then moving on down to Donnelly Safety, they had an invoice for $7,800 and $155,000, with a total of $162,800. And then Westside tractor sales for the highway department, $25,430. That's where age restricted.
Yes.
Is this for discussion?
Yeah, that's just gonna section down there.
All right, so we need to vote on this in time.
I make a motion to accept the encumbrances as stated.
Okay. And I'll second, all those in favor?
Aye.
5-2. I know that in years past, it's been brought up about the county farm and revenues that come in, would be lack of, you know, revenues of what we would like them to be. I'm not only saying that just because, you know, I know the figures are in the farming industry. So I think it's a conversation that we need to have with the council, and we did kind of bring it up about selling the county farm, so we did get, our 2 appraisals, I think it was recently, got the second one.
Yeah, and I think the first thing we have to address is the reason we started, well, we were discussing it prior, and John approached us about selling a piece on. And Ken,
Yes.
my question to you is, if we wanted to sell John a piece off, what is the legal way? How do we do that? Do we have to put it up for that specific piece up for auction? Can we set a specific price for him? Do the appraisals? How is that done?
The first step is you've done that, you have the appraisals, and we identify that. Whether if we have a good legal description for what's gonna be sectioned off, and then the value of that, we have to offer it for bids. And the offer price can't be less than the average of the 2 appraisals for that specific section. And then, you know, it's just what the statute says, it doesn't make any sense, but then if you bid, anybody else that bids, we just have to go through that process.
Did you hear that, John?
So how do you want it?
Did you have to, John, are you still interested in purchasing a piece of property?
This has been through the cycle before, we sold off a section. Which I now owns it, I what, is it, 15 years ago or so, so it's back on history.
I guess we need to work with you, Kent, on if we want to move forward and have offered out.
Yeah, I would just make a motion to authorize the legal department to review the appraisals and prepare the notice for offer of sale, offer process. I'll make that motion.
Okay.
There's another part of that,
Just started.
I'll check and there's another part of that statute where if it's an adjacent landowner, there are certain circumstances, but I still think it's a regular offer process. So one way or the other, we'll follow the statute and
Okay.
get it ready.
John owns to the south and the west of it.
All around it. then.
Yeah, well, he doesn't, we're on the west side of, or the east side of him. And then Thornton's on the north side of that. So there's really only between, other than us, only one of the land involved, which is two current farms.
So that lot, it's not Bush Street Road.
Right. And there was in one of the appraisals of 1.5 acre lane going back to this property, which John doesn't need. Because it's his property.
We'll just have to be able to, hopefully we just have a per acre, sure the appraisal just says a per acre value and then we can do the math for whatever we're offering.
So Tim, you made a motion to proceed in the offer process, and I'll second
And
that.
so the 16 acres of that. Remember, approximately 16 acres.
Okay.
I assume it has to be surveyed, maybe.
That would be, yeah, that would be the smartest.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
No.
And then we can talk about the discussion of selling the whole farm.
Yes, but at this point, I think we.
Yeah, we're done with that part.
Okay.
Then it leaves us with 200 and roughly 20 acres.
What we want to do, 'cause I know, I had spoken to the council regarding selling it, and there's at least two of them that really are not in favor of that. But I'm not sure everyone is aware of the receipts that have been coming in, through the years. And I think it's something, the commissioners will need to redo, the agreement, contract, it's pretty old. I think you and I have talked about how outdated it is, so, those are some other things we need to discuss.
Well, is it just a 50-50 agreement? I've never seen it. A third. We get a third.
And then we pay, farm services for doing the paperwork.
Just $1,000 or $1,100. Okay.
So, yeah, the receipts are up a little more than what,
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that there was in the low thirties.
Yeah, that was what we got for the last 3 years.
Thank you, Colin.
Yep, thank you very much, Colin. Okay.
Okay, are we doing that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's move on to, I do have a contract here with, I sent that to review.
Yeah, that's good. You just need a motion to declare the equipment in the new county's property that is not necessary for the county's purposes as surplus, so it can be sold according to the personal property disposition statutes, and by auction is one of the mechanisms that you can use. The auctioneer will handle the advertisement, satisfy all that.
Now, there were some items that we're not selling. And so I have met with Greg and we're gonna meet with him, later today, to finalize, some of those items that are not fastened down. Yes, I want to say.
Yeah. As long as you have a general description for this motion, if it's the kitchen equipment, and then I would say.
Like decorations, things that do not fit our needs for a governmental building. getting rid of.
Kitchen equipment, unnecessary restaurant, business, personal property. Okay, I'll make a motion, to,
Before you make your motion, can we get some of the old equipment at the old jail to include in this auction?
Sure.
We already declared it surplus, like the old kitchen.
until we're done with Walden's,
Okay,
and I don't think we're done with Walden's.
okay.
They basically, now that's another thing, with the tear down of the jail. Say, how long, Walden said they'll hold that bid for however long, say January of next year. We want to tear that jail down.
As long as Walden's will still honor, it's just if Walden's wasn't to say they don't want to honor that price, then we'd have to start over. But
Right.
we've got a bid that's awarded, as long as
Okay.
he's willing to keep
I wouldn't
going.
want, he bid on everything in that jail, I wouldn't want to take anything out of there.
And that's fine. You know, I just wanted to ask that question in case.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll just stick with,
Maple Farm.
Maple Corner.
Okay, I'll make a motion for the kitchen, equipment, decorations, anything that, we don't need to run as a county government. We declared surplus, for the purpose of an auction at Maple Farm.
Okay, and I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
They just need a motion to approve the auctioneer's agreement.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve, Ray Clemens agreement for auctioneer.
I'll second that. Do I need to read anything in there about?
No.
Okay.
And, we've primarily got two auctioneers in the county that do a lot of the auctioneering. Since Allen Real Estate sold it, we're giving Greg Clemens the option to do the auction. And he just recently had a auction, and had a lot of good names and things that he generated from the last restaurant he sold. So he should have a good year come in.
Okay, so I second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Department heads. Department head?
Yeah. Morning.
So, just giving you an update on the mileage on the ambulances. We talked a little bit about them last month. As you can tell, we've got 3 of them over 100,000 miles, 1 of them over 200. The 2015 Wheel Coach, we're having some issues with it. There was a recall on the particulate filter, the DEF fluid system. We took it to Bill Estes Ford. They changed out the sensors, which were in front of the filter, said that should fix it. Did not fix it. Took it back. They found out the DEF heater inside was bad. Fixed it, had a leak, and we're back to square one. Believe it is the particulate filter that's bad in it. We've got right now around $3,500 wrapped up in it at this point. I'm not sure. That particular filter was supposed to be on the recall, so I don't know. I've not heard anything about that yet, but as you know, we're just starting to, these trucks are going to start nickel and diming us because of the mileage on that. So just to kind of go, Tim and I, you and I talked to Brent a little bit. I checked into that. We're looking at between 12 to 18 months on an ambulance, brand new. And we're looking at around probably 230 to probably up to 300,000 for a truck. So,
And did you find out ARPA funds to be used?
that I did not know. We would have to reach out to Jake and find out from that. I just suspect what was told from another EMS director, he was advised that it can be used for that, but that's just from what what was communicated to him. I think we'd have to,
Well, on the one hand, you're not supposed to use it for capital expenses, but it's one of the broadest categories is health and
yeah,
improving, really all the money that's available for sewer and stormwater is under the health umbrella. So I think we can we need to let Jake and Barney Norberg chime in on that, but it makes sense that it's possible.
and like I said, it's just a thought. I mean, I'm just trying to look at maybe if we can,
Especially if you buy an ambulance with a new air filtration system and everything else.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that'd be something we would have to, discuss that with him if it's even possible. I mean, I'm just trying to look at,
We really need to set up a meeting with him to discuss that, or other questions.
and that could offset the money, somewhere else that, if it coming out of the county general, whatever was decided that we're gonna, if we were to pull that money from, that might help. And if it doesn't, we'll figure something else out. I think we're,
Well, and if we come down to where we've got extra money in that, I believe we will. I wouldn't have a problem doing 2 ambulances. I hate that because it's gonna, at one point, go out at the same time, but still, it's not a long time.
looking at the timeline, I mean, you're looking at, if we were to order it today, you're looking at 12 months minimum. But we would have to we gotta go through the bidding process and all that.
When is that
Speaking of
money
that
supposed to be
question.
spent? By 26 or something?
Okay,
Okay, so we could set some back, we do one and.
However, if that's how you wanna do it, I just kind of where we're at.
Up for discussion.
right, and I'm okay with that,
I mean, it's $300,000 not out of the county coffers per se.
So on the bidding process, Kent, so we would set up obviously the specs, and we would receive the bids. What is the statute on the bids? Do we have to accept the lowest bid? Or,
The lowest responsive, and responsive just means that they follow the bidding processes, where responsible means do you have knowledge that it's not a company that can really deliver on what they're promising. And unless you have pretty good evidence that they can, you can get an ambulance bid from Joe's Bar Grill and Truck Stop and ambulance sales.
Right.
They might not be, so yes, the lowest.
okay, yeah, but that's a little concerning, because sometimes, you look at the lowest bid might be the lowest bid, but the quality is what I look at on that. That's the challenge we run into, and I mean, we've got one now, I'm not saying it's bad quality, but it's, you can set it next to another one, and you can see the difference in it, and that's concerning.
One option is to see if there are any state lists of pre-approved companies for
Okay,
ambulance or fire that, if it's on a pre-bid list,
mhm.
then you don't even have to just buy it.
Okay, that'd be something I'll look at, yeah, okay. So like I said, I want to bring that to you guys on that.
Well, let's go ahead and get the bid. It doesn't cost you to get a bid.
Yeah, I'll start getting some bids then. So question is, obviously we sold the green truck for less than what I wanted to sell it for. No, just teasing. I'll just get, so the question is that was received in the county general, correct? Okay, so my question is, 2 of the ambulances, the new one that came in has a really, I don't call it top-notch, step on it because of the height of it. The two other of my ambulances have like a camper style step. And we have multiple times replaced stuff in it, and they just keep breaking. And I would like, yeah. So I would like to replace those with the better step. I have a quote on that. We're probably looking at $9,400 to $9,500. That would take those two, and then I have a third ambulance that would need to step 2. Is it possible, or what do we need to do if it's even, can we take that $5,000 and put that towards it? And then put another additional on top to have that? The reason I'm asking is I've already had a gentleman fall out of the ambulance, stepped out, missed the step,
Employee or?
an employee. I don't know
Not
what.
that it matters.
Well, no, but, and I hate to see that happen again. I think by the time we pay all the workman's comp claim out and all that.
Yep.
So I don't know how we,
It's about as long as it is short, we're gonna have to ask for an additional for the
Okay.
whole amount, so.
Okay. oh, and that's what I thought. I just
Yeah.
needed to see what we needed to do on that. So,
It's an additional either way, it's just that there's 5,000 that's more or less earmarked. for-
okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
you can let the council know that.
I'll bring it, I'll
It's
talk to him
still-
Monday, yeah.
My job's still the same, I
Okay,
got
no,
it.
I didn't know how, I don't have,
Or you don't have the figures.
right. I'll check with them on Monday, make sure that next Monday they're okay with it, and then I'll bring it back on the
Okay.
21st, and we just put that way. I just want to make sure.
Well, they can't really act on it because it has to be advertised.
Oh,
He's just gonna,
okay.
I just need to make sure they're okay with this, you know. that we can-
yeah,
yeah.
that's fine. I mean, we could.
I wondered if that's how it was, but I want to make sure. I figured it.
Yeah, she's not good.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be approved till March meeting for the
That's fine.
council.
Because it's going to be, I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks before we get delivery of them anyway, so it's not, it'll take time to get them. So.
And maybe that time, I mean, we have an additional, table for them to act on. So whether we do it now or the February meeting doesn't really,
Right.
it's not gonna matter. So if you feel more comfortable waiting to give us these exact figures, we can do it next meeting, or do you have now?
I just, off the top of my head, it's like 90, I don't have, I mean, I'll give you exact numbers, but I mean, it's just right
We
on
can
the
just do it
head.
As soon as you have them,
Yeah.
pass them on to me and I'll
Okay, I can
get
do that.
going.
Okay. I did let you know, I did apply for that AFG grant for the power load systems for the trucks. We applied for 5 of those, and they were also allowed us to put in a maintenance agreement in there too, that we would come in and work on those. The total price on that grant was $133,400. We would own, if we were awarded the grant, the county has to come up with 5% of that, which I think is like $6,200 or $6,300, something like that off the top of my head. So we won't know anything until fall if we're awarded that.
Thanks for applying.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Other than that, another busy month. We finished with 263 runs in January. So I don't see any end in sight on runs right now.
How was the storm?
Went very well. Bank County Highway, they were out there 2 times, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. We also got the 4-wheeler out, that helped also too. So, with them pushing the snow away and us being it,
Managed a little stuff.
yep. So we were able to keep the lane, the driveway's clear as we get out. So can't say that we went too much out into the county itself. I think there was one area up north we did, but they were able to bring them out to us to the main highway. But other than that, knock on wood, I don't think we really went into any area that was too bad we couldn't get into.
Sheriff back there.
Believe you, yes.
Hey, Terry.
Yes. How was the storm for you?
It was good. I mean, we didn't have,
I think we've got everybody here. We would like commissioners, we'd like to thank you all, highway, sheriff department, ambulance. I don't know whether Josh, you were called out, but, you guys all did an excellent job in emergency management, and we do appreciate what you do.
thank you.
So, and we went, it sounds like it went off without a hitch, which that much snow generally doesn't happen. So, okay, great job, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last thing I'll tell you is as you know, with all the shortage of everything, we're running into shortage of medical supplies. And we're doing everything, Josh is doing everything he can to order what we can, but, and also they're jacking the price up on stuff too, so, imagine that, right? But we're hitting a challenge, we're having a hard time getting some medications, one of the things that was, still puzzling is cardboard splints, we're on back order. We can't get like pre-filled syringes with water, it's got normal saline in. Had a chance to talk with Jean Cragen at St. Vincent's, and she said plastic is the shortage, and that's why everything's. So, we're doing everything we can, but it's pretty rough right now, pretty challenging, touch and go. But we're seeing prices are going to probably jump. We're hearing like 7-8% right now. So we may see a huge influx in the budget. Right now, we're holding our own, but so you know.
It's February.
Yeah. Oh, that's all I got. Anything else?
Thanks, Garth.
I need to meet,
Okay,
I
yep,
have a funeral
yep.
director I need to meet.
Okay.
Trish, I'm gonna look at 36-2-14-11. A gentleman died last week. His nieces want nothing to do with it. He has some property. He bought one of the old Rangers from the highway department. According to that code, we'll have to sell it. We're gonna try and recoup some of his burial costs.
Okay.
I'll need a little bit of guidance on how we need to go about that, because I'm sure we won't be able to find a title or anything like that for it.
Okay.
Yeah, he does not own the house that he lives in. He rents from the gentleman that owns Courthouse Cafe. So it's not a problem to get back in and go through his house. I feel kind of bad tossing a deceased's house to find what we need, but I think that's what we're gonna have to do. I just wanna make sure that we're cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, so I would just wait, let me look at that before.
Yeah.
Before you take any action.
Yeah, I'll drop you off a card real quick. That thing that we talked about the other day didn't end up working. It went, no. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, other than that, we'll end up probably burying that guy this week. That's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. He didn't have any, he has a deceased sister, and both of his parents are long deceased, so. Okay, cool, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Danny,
Everyone,
you
good day.
Just a few quick things. All I was going to do was formally ask permission for the emergency management department to pay for our, what do you call them, the AEDs. We got one for each building, and we're asking if it's okay for them to use the CARES Act to pay for that for our agency, and we were counting employees.
you mean the ARPA?
Yes.
CARES Act was
Yeah.
the first round.
Yes. The
Okay.
the emergency management plan on paying for, them. They just want permission to do it. We're a county institute, but since we're kind of unique, they wanted that formality first.
I'll make a motion to have emergency management pay for it. So what you,
Well,
No,
no,
I think that any ARPA expenditure has to be
through
through this ARPA board that they have to create.
Okay, well,
this committee.
she said that I called you to ask. And Tina had said someone else that came here to ask for approval, and you guys approved it. It was a formality.
She's one that's in the CARES Act, not the
She's wanting to create the CARES Act, the CARES
Okay,
Act
so the
fund.
CARES Act money, once we finish with that, it got transferred to county general. We created a line item, COVID-19. Okay, so we just recently did additional appropriation to put, what, 170,000 back into the line item because the council didn't approve it budget time, but yet there was a remaining balance. And so to keep track of what remaining funds we had to check with the auditor's office to see how much money was been spent.
Mhm.
And so we did the additional appropriation. So there's money there through county general. So we can use that.
But it's not really CARES Act money anymore.
That's what Tina was talking about.
Okay,
That's what Tina was talking
so
about.
county general, COVID-19 line item.
Right, that's what Tina was talking about.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Buffy sent me a text and said, go to your commissioners meeting and ask this. I'm like,
Y'all
oh.
would be
Go.
on the additional approval of the 14th meeting.
The council is gonna have, yes, see, we have that in the additional appropriations request.
Mhm.
We already acted on it, but the council needs to act on it. At
So
their
just
meeting.
kind of on hold. I mean, if
Because
it's
we
something
have
we
to
go
vote
ahead
on
and
it.
pay for, could we be reimbursed, I guess, if that was?
If the council approves. it,
Yeah, but I mean, if it does go through, because I have,
Mhm.
it's already been
Otherwise-
ordered and everything, because worst case scenario, we were gonna pay for ourselves, but since there
Yes.
was the funds there, that's why we thought we
Okay.
would ask. But worst case scenario, if not, that's fine, but we were hoping.
She would just need to go to the council on Monday to get the additional permit.
Okay.
Okay, so Tim made that motion, I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
And then I just wanted to make a note on two things. Senate Bill 9, just went through the Senate, it'll go to the House. It changes a lot of dealings with electronic monitoring. Has some client ratios compared to staff. Right now, I'm down one staff because I didn't replace someone. So I'll let you know if I do have to refill that position. It's not a new position being created, it's just a position that our numbers were low enough I didn't refill. So if you, I will come to you before I do that, but it would not be a new position. As that's if that passes, I'll have to do that. I won't have a choice. And then also, I just wanted to make a note that for 2022 in the grant, we also did another $2,500 in auditor fees to contribute to the county, $2,500 to help with the fact that they run all of our paperwork and things like that. We do appreciate that. And that's all I really had. So I need to go to the council meeting, is that what you're saying, on
Yes, on Monday,
on Monday? Okay. And what time is that again?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you. Jenny, do you? You got-
Jenny, Eric.
Who else? Who's got it?
The only thing is I sent out that email 234 East, Superior Harvest completely cleaned up, so that one's done. I'll follow those in the threat of the letter and the money. I'll bet him on that one. Was that when he was on it after I talked to him about that, so.
Right, good. Good, that's all we want.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Jenny, on 234 East. I know I saw your correspondence between you and Ethan and,
Just kind of waiting to see what, their attorney has to say, so I'm just waiting for a response.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they're gonna take, nothing was said about that, so, I just we can quickly up on the phone here and see what's.
I guess in reading the email, I was a little confused on what Ethan said about attorney fees. I think,
That's just more, just leverage. I mean,
no, I wanted them to pay every bit of your fees that you put into this, regardless of whether we go to court or not. And is that how it reads? Is that what we're doing? I mean, if that's what we.
if that's what they will agree to.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think the county ought to be out a penny for having to fight this now, especially with something we've got to find in place. I think once this gets around, there's gonna be a lot more people doing what they should do. Okay. This is fine for around 150,000 right now, right?
Probably about, yeah, 50,000. Which they haven't asked for a total, so we're just kind of waiting and see what their next step is.
Okay. Thank you guys very much.
Rusty,
Am I?
come on.
Back around.
I'm timing, yeah.
Hey Travis, we're up.
Back around.
I assume this is Monday, because you guys are here.
Do I?
I say, I assume it's Monday, because you guys are only here on Monday. I don't know what that, there's some things that, seriously, in all seriousness, Travis and I were talking on the way over here. The way we treat our blacktops or highways or whatever has been done that way for over 50 years. And it's about time we looked into some new possibilities, pre-treating, which 13 years ago, I looked into it, got about as far as I am right now. So it is dependable. It can bite you. The state found that out. They pre-treated everything. They had a solid ice block because when temperatures get to a certain degree, you've got a problem. I don't care what you got unless it's blue torch. So there are, since we have no closed salt shed and ours just sits out in the element, we definitely need to look at 2 Cargill and the liquid brine on pre-treating to do some of the highways.
Can we use a distributor for that? Or?
Yeah, I've got all the literature in it. At one time, it was about $25,000, but I'm sure it's way higher than that now. And you only need a room about this size to mix brine in. So then you've got to have a truck and an applicator, which you can't run it through your distributor for obvious reasons. But it's not that expensive. I mean, it's something that can be set up and a program done fairly reasonable. So I agreed with Travis when he said we definitely need to look into it. The other thing that we talked about is our greater snowplow, V snowplows are shot. I mean, they're 30 and something, one's I think 33 years old. We got to replace them.
Back before war. Huh?
Yeah. They came from railroad train and were prefab to fit road grade. A lot of things have changed since those days.
Sure.
And every once in a while, it takes a good blizzard to show you that you are not invincible. And I want to give hats off to the sheriff's department who helped block us. They came and assisted us in traffic when we had trucks upside down almost, graders buried. They were right there. They didn't hesitate one bit. The only problem I have is when you lifted from red to orange, only 90% of our roads were open. We still had closed roads at the time set on that thing that was done. And that's dangerous because once everybody sees on the computer, oh, we're orange, we can go. We had
Orange is still
more
restricted.
Well, we had more stuck traffic than we did when we were red. So just saying, that's just little things we got to work out afterwards and kind of look and cooperate and that kind of thing. We had 3 guys that fell during this. All 3 of them haven't requested any medical yet, but I definitely want to get it logged and dated because this ice was treacherous. We got windows shattered in the road grids because of the cold temperatures and the ice builds up off the blades. When you open the door, try to open it, they just disintegrate. So we got a lot of glass. One thing we discussed too is the fact that this storm isn't over. When this thaw comes, your roads are gonna go to, where in a handbag. Because there's moisture under them, alongside of them, and on top. And you've got 14 some inches of snow that's gotta melt. And your gravel, the bottoms where we cut the first time, fell through. We stayed up and didn't cut. And
Well, I like the fact that there's 4 inches of snow on the gravel because it
Yes.
gets packed.
Yes,
We should never, in my opinion, I know nothing about it, but
Right.
should never go clear down the gravel and throw it all.
I agree 100%. It's just hard to
Judge,
judge, yeah,
any car can get through 5 inches of snow.
right. But
So,
those were a couple of things that really kicked us hard. That and then, like I said, the inch and a tip, I think, of liquid under. And then the snowpack came and there's different measurements, but
Sure.
I want to thank Travis, who could have just rode around with me and looked and took phone calls. Travis ran the road grader for 2 days. He ran the end loader for 2 days, plowing snow all day long with the rest of them, and I ran parts. We had no one to answer the telephone, so I apologize to all those people that were calling in. Apparently, there weren't too many emergencies, or they called 911, and I didn't have many of them. And it was a lesson well learned, because I tell you, this was a killer. And my guys came through with flying colors as far as I'm concerned. And the reason I'll say that, I have a contractor that works Fountain, Park, Montgomery, and Warren County. And he said in those 4 counties that he drove and does work in, Fountain County had the best roads of any of them. So hats off to those guys. It wasn't me. It's those guys that dedicated to it. We did run team this time, and that saved on a lot of tow bills, because the wrecker and the grader and the dump trucks ran together. And with that big V plow, the road grader was busting through and the truck was picking the slough off. So one pass and we had school bus with.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was, thank Travis for that. And it was just things that went on. We also found out the big loader that we have, the 644, saved us tremendous tow bills. And we ran that all over the county. My suggestion for the future is to trade the 544 off for at least a 644 or 744 with the scales and everything. Now you got 2 big rotors, so you don't have to drive one from north of Attica down to King. That's a lot of wear and tear on those big loaders, but we found a 50-ton nylon rope, braided rope, and that hasn't broke yet. Every chain that we had on any grader broke. I want to get away from all those chains. That somebody get killed with chains. They're making these ropes up to 100 ton now, and straps. And I think the county should invest in all new strapping and new towing devices. Those are some of the things we've seen, the liquid, the towing, handling things. You need to start ordering some trucks of some sort. Our biggest problem is going to be this spring. Our total patchers are 13 and 11 years old, and they're not going to hold up to what we got to do. Strongly suggest they're running, the new ones are running 85 to 90,000. I strongly suggest you look at replacing those 2 and try to find a single axle dump truck for them. That's just suggestions. I'm not asking for money, because I don't even know if you can get a truck. I know you can get the total patchers. And we have went through those things mechanically. We put everything we could possibly put in, and there's no sense refurbishing something. You just will start new. Yeah, you'll have problems, but it's going to be a situation that we have to come to. The other thing I want to say is on all those bids, I strongly suggest you accept all at some point. I don't know where you were on the community crossing grants. I didn't hear all that, but I'm talking about the asphalt, rock, piping, bridging, all that stuff. You're not going to get a deal on it. The price of steel is the price of steel. The price of this is, I mean, it's just that way. And it depends on what part of the county where we're at, as to what product we're using and what have you. It's going to vary, but we can balance it. We may be able to get $5.72 stone at one place and pay 15 at another. But that 15 is within 3 miles and the other 70. So it balances. Trucking, everything balances. Unless you've got anything else for me, I don't think I've wasted everybody's time. I just want to thank everybody.
Have we heard anything, is FEMA going to help us like they have in the past, or the state?
That I had not heard. I think anything you get, I'm glad you said that. I saw, we have a sheriff's deputy that has a car. And if you guys can do anything to get him out of that car, he can't go anywhere in that car. It's a little white sheriff's car. It took us 2.5 hours just to get to him one night. That poor kid needs to get something inside the car. That's just a suggestion.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
Okay, well, I'll back you.
June, he wants, we're getting rid of that.
Okay. That poor guy was terrible. I felt sorry for him, but help him get a new vehicle. The second thing, I know, Travis, what was that car I saw? That I told you went through the field? Was it a Land Rover?
Something like,
Get one of those for the ambulance. He got tired of waiting on us, and he went through a field, and he went through a waterway, and the snow was clear over the top, and he kept going, and clear out of sight, get the ambulance people some of them. I guarantee you they can get anywhere in it.
that's when it costs $100,000.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? One life, it's worth it. I know what you're saying. I agree with you. And then the Mercedes makes a 6x6 truck that the axle will go like this, so you can go straight up the hill and over. So couple of those and put snow plows on them, we can go anywhere, guys.
All right. Thank you, Rusty. Sheriff, to answer your question, we are following all protocol so that if there is any reimbursement down the road, we will be eligible for it. That's the reason they did what they did. So we just have not heard of anything yet.
Well, thank you, Rusty. Oh. Did you want something, Sharon?
I don't want anything.
I was landfill next, but I mean, okay.
No, I just want to make a point. So did you guys get my annual report?
Yes.
Okay. You
Well, we've got a commissary report.
should have,
That was the only thing that.
so you should have the commissary report, you should have the report of how much money we brought back in. So if you look down towards the bottom of the page, you'll see that we'd actually brought in $359,000 from the other counties for housing out of county, which goes back to the general fund. That was done within, before the year was up. So our year would be in March when we started housing last year. And we did that in approximately 9 months. So we'll try to, we're still under restrictions as far as the jail goes. When people come in, I still have to quarantine them for so many days and all this other stuff, which ties up bed space for me. But we're working on it, so.
Right. And we also need to get people hired out there for you, not hired, at least on call. All your systems out.
I would
there.
like for some, you guys to look at maybe get a maintenance guy out there.
I don't think a maintenance guy with your jail command, in my opinion. Jail commander's pretty sharp.
He is.
He just needs somebody to call.
Right,
Contract.
and so like, we
He
had.
needs a heating and air. I mean,
Yes, so we actually had to call DA Dodd. And at one point they said it wasn't their problem, so they called another company, they said it wasn't their problem, went back to DA Dodd, and they said, oh yeah, it is our problem. So they finally come out, start checking the system, and their system is the boiler system went down.
And your construction management company is nowhere to be found, are they? They
No,
won't return calls
or emails.
or emails.
I recently got an email from Logan that I thought it was spam, so I deleted it.
And
We did too, and that's what we did.
$80,000 more for company. that
Yeah.
Won't call you back.
Right, so, other than that, I mean, you're doing good.
Yeah, okay. We just gotta watch that we don't void any warranties.
Right.
So probably all running out anyhow, about 2-year warranties.
And like the filtration system for
Yeah,
the water, we have to be
you
careful with that.
definitely get
If that goes haywire, then we're in trouble. So, you're gonna keep a good eye on that.
Yep.
Do we need Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need Andrew
No.
here? Okay.
I do want to say thank you to the county highway for keeping this plot out. In the parking lots and stuff and keeping it clear for us. And they did an awesome job on the roads.
Right.
So, and thanks for pulling my guy out. And,
Yeah.
so-
Getting along.
Yeah, so, other than that, that's all I've got, unless you have something for me.
No,
Okay.
Hey, sure, I saw your cousin John wave on that 7 a.m. this morning. He said something.
Was he going to work?
I was buying this trailer.
oh, did you buy it? Okay.
Okay, so Tim, since we had a chance to look at the commissary report and the sheriff's annual report.
I make a motion to.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is it you, Greg, or Roger?
Both of us come up.
Okay.
Roger can sit in this comfy chair over there.
I'm feeling this, Dave.
You all should have received a report from the state. It was emailed out. It's more or less the same report. There's no difference in it. Scott Wanger, the inspector for the wells, he had called me prior. He just sent the report to his boss. That's who we got it from. And we talked and he goes, "What, but you said it wasn't done." So Scott, the ditch is filled in, it's growing, looks good. He goes, "Okay, well, you can read it, you'll understand it better why I said what I said." So that he went on the assumption it wasn't completed. It's completed.
I was gonna say the letter from Zach Green.
Yeah, so anyway, they're in the understanding and everything. And at the bottom of the letter, he said, if you have any questions, to call him. And then also he said this, to continue on, that's where I'm gonna let Roger take over, to continue on the testing, because we are still showing high. Roger?
Yeah, there's good news and better news, I think, in this letter that's kind of hidden. One of the things that the concentrations of alkalinity, dissolved calcium, magnesium, manganese, and total solids have increased from April to October. And that is a result of the biodegradation process that happens in the landfill. On the happier news is that chlorides, calcium, and magnesium have dropped from April to October. So I think the cap is working. I think it's just gonna take time to show what the total effect is gonna be. Greg and I and Bell met at the cap for about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We walked it. There are some areas that Greg is very aware of that need some fill in, and in the spring when he rolls it, he'll fill in those areas just to allow better drainage off of it. The remainder of the letter is misinformation on items part. They thought that some of the things were not done, that they are completed. So it's not relevant anymore. There is still the pond on the northeast portion of the landfill that we need to close up, and I will be doing some design work on that and get volumes for you guys to kick around and get a cost maybe from Bell or somebody else to do that work. And then the access road that goes and snakes around between the two landfills, we're gonna try to straighten that up for 2 reasons. One is that we encountered trash and we're doing the north landfill that is under the road. So we're gonna try to push that north landfill a little bit south out of the road and straighten that road for ease of access back and forth to the landfill. Those are things I'll be working on here when the snow gets off the ground. But this letter is really, in a way, it's a good letter, although it sounds like business as usual. I'm seeing good trends that are happening here. So we'll cross our fingers and just keep maintaining that level.
On the north pond that Roger was just talking about, one of the things that happened there, because we stole all the good topsoil off that, it was pretty, and we fertilized it once or twice at least. It's hard to get the growth to come back. One thing that we're gonna do, and I talked to Daryl about it, we've got some old straw and stuff left there that's left over from the seeding and stuff. We're probably gonna spread that in that area to try to increase the growth so that we can close that pond up and get rid of it. So, and I think that all happened once the weather breaks. So we'll be in good shape up there.
Okay,
That's all I had.
thanks, Greg.
Just wanted to bring you guys up to date. You still think we need to meet with them? I think we're good, but
I think we're good.
we're good. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. No. Sheriff, did you have anything else or are you done? Okay. Want to double check?
No.
Anybody else?
I'm probably you, I'm so numb right now. I don't know.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm surprised we're getting a, no problem.
Monday's meeting could bring in information on the selling of the county farm. I got some figures here, but I think we'd be interested in,
Well, I think Colleen can probably put that
can
on
we bring
your
that in
agenda.
Monday?
Yeah, in that, I mean, in that process, it depends on what the appraisal value is, on whether you need I mean, at a certain threshold, you have to have council approval of that by resolution, so that's all part of what I'm trying to figure out.
So you want that on the agenda? Did you want figures or anything, or what?
Yes, I would like to see that.
What kind of figures you wanting?
Well, you know, the past, I got, what, 19, 20, and 21 on the sheet here, and I read the email and what the disbursements was. I want to go back a little bit because there's incentives with that farm that we've had and used over the years. I would like to see these figures, maybe go back and compare.
I think she can only go back to 2014 with the financial to see what kind of revenues come in.
Yeah, well, you said something a while ago, and I didn't hear that very well about, well, at farming, there's certain things that happen. I thought maybe you knew something
Well,
about the county.
I mean,
farm.
my husband farms and he puts back into the ground. So anytime you put back into the ground, your crop is gonna show itself. I don't think anything's being put back into the county farm, so therefore the revenue that we're getting is not as good as what we're getting or neighbor. I know that it's different type of ground. So I take that into consideration too, but for years, I brought it up to the commissioners. And maybe Dudley is like, you know, this really needs to be reviewed. I said, I don't think we're really getting back. And no one wanted to take the time to look into redoing the contracts. It's time consuming, so I think it's time to really take a.
We've talked about that before, and I understand that. I just want to see if it's really feasible at this time. We know that land sales are up. I know that. But I want to take a long look at this before we make a final decision. That's all I'm asking.
Right.
Numbers, whatever numbers we have.
Well, and that's why when I have brought it up in the past, no one took the time to look at any figures. So Colleen has provided that information to us. So you're saying you want to go back even further.
You know, I want you to dig up some information so we can make a reasonable decision whether to keep it or to sell it. That's all. And if we have those figures already, and can we get some of them by Monday, I think it would be a help to the council.
Okay.
I just, want to ask.
Like I said, right now, we made the motion we made just because John had came, came forward. And so with that being said, we might as well just get an appraisal of the whole farm. So then we would be ready to sell, if we choose to.
You want? I know John's talking about 16 acres. I just wonder how that all figures in with our decision. That's okay, as long as we have some information Monday, trying to get us thinking down that process, and maybe bring it up.
And I'm not so sure the 16 acres that John's wanting, is it all farmable or?
No, it's all junk wood.
Yes.
A hillside, basically.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's not gonna impact, we're just gonna be getting rid of some ground that we're not really getting the revenue from. Okay. So,
And
I
that
think
appraisal,
everybody would be okay with that.
that appraisal's not here yet, right? The
We have
staff
it.
appraisal,
Yeah.
do you have that?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, will we hear that Monday?
We can,
All I had is cleanings. You took the other two and
I got it right
Tim
here.
took one.
I can leave this here and then just
Okay.
put it back in my tray if you want to. And you said you have the other one?
Mhm.
Okay. Colleen has that information, she'll share it with you. Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Justin, sorry.
For your advisement for the CC&G project, based on the review of the estimates and paperwork, I would advise rewriting a little bit to $1,088,590.
still,
Well, just, I don't know what, I know there's deadlines with the other contract for community crossings. So I don't know if that's something that can, I thought
Early March, so.
March 3rd, I think.
It next.
Okay,
I
so-
I think you can still
okay.
take the time to vet at the next meeting.
Okay.
Make
I just
sure-
want to make sure. Thank you for that information. That being said, anybody have anything else?
Justin, was the difference 6,000-7,000?
Second.
I kind of wrote it down, but
About 7,000.
1,088 and 1,095.
One was 88, one was 95.
6,876.
thank you.
And then for the first,
Yeah.
really close.
Okay, so,
Motion to adjourn.
yes,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
To close, I'll make a motion to close.
I'll second. Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Always do
I guess we're
that.
done. Are we having a dream board meeting?
That's what it says.
Yes, that's what Roger wanted.
You're on.
Man, that's